It looks like Estonia's relatively new 7.62mm DMRs, or designated marksman rifles, had to be sent back to their maker, Lewis Machine & Tool, for repairs under warranty. It's never good news when this has to take place, but, well, that's what warranties are for, right? But let's take a look at the problem encountered by Estonia's defense forces for today's video. We're very late to report on this news, considering it was originally published in September 2025. However, with so much interest in rifles, we thought it was an interesting development still worth reporting on, particularly as it potentially exposes deeper issues with weapons produced by LMT. We should also note that it wasn't easy to find official video for the 7.62 DMRs being used beyond one rifle on display during this EDF podcast video with Ian of Forgotten Weapons. As a result, we'll also be including 5.56 rifle footage as part of the B-roll for this video, but we can assure you that we know the difference. And so, getting to the story, you may recall that back in December 2018, Estonia officially chose LMT Defense, or Lewis Machine & Tool, to supply its new standard infantry rifles, a 5.56mm weapon for the general service weapon and a 7.62mm rifle for designated marksman. If that's something you didn't know and are interested in learning more about, we have a whole video about it for you to check out. Estonia would receive its first batch of R20 Rahe rifles in July 2020, with this initial shipment containing about 1,500 weapons, 1,250 R20 rifles in 5.56 and 250 TA R20 precision rifles in 7.62. Unfortunately, the precision rifles, the DMRs, after being in service for just a few years, began to show some problems. Apparently, Estonian media outlet Äripäev had asked Estonia's Defense Procurement Agency, RKIK, about reported problems with the precision rifles back in fall 2023. However, the agency only responded to the inquiry in late 2025, telling Äripäev that between 2024 and 2025, all 7.62mm rifle barrels were sent back to the manufacturer. So, what was the issue? Well, it appears to have been a failing gas system, which is supposed to ensure the weapon reloads after each shot. ERR says that all 7.62mm caliber rifles had their gas blocks replaced, and as one can expect, additional firing tests were carried out on the barrels to confirm they met the accuracy standards laid out in the technical description of the procurement. RKIK said that the state did not incur any costs related to the warranty repairs, with all work covered by the manufacturer. Speaking with ERR, Estonian Defence Forces Staff Officer Mario Nolvak said that initially the problem occurred in less than 10% of weapons, explaining, "The gas chamber was unable to hold the gas cap in place at the moment of firing, and the gas cap flew off." That part about the gas cap sounds a bit like a translation issue, and so if we had to guess, we would bet it was actually a piston plug. Sure, it theoretically shouldn't pop out easily, however, if it has a suppressor in a wrong gas setting, then the back pressure would spike pretty hard, especially with something like 7.62 NATO. But again, it's just our educated guess. Nolvak continues by saying, "It turned out that we couldn't use this gas block in its current form, so the manufacturer developed a solution that changed the composition of the alloy used to make the gas block, as well as the dimensions of the gas block. This was the critical point where the gas plug was escaping. Now it should no longer be able to escape." It's said that the replacement of the gas blocks took 2 years, and this was due to the rifles being sent away in several batches over an extended period of time, and not all at once. Katri Raudsepp, Deputy Director General of RKIK, said that the gas blocks were replaced on all weapons, explaining, "They not only replaced the weapons in which these problems occurred, but the entire batch that was delivered to us. The warranty work is complete, each weapon has been thoroughly inspected, and the problematic components have been replaced. The weapons are back in use with the Defence Forces." For some background on Estonia's procurement of LMT rifles, the country had a requirement that weapons of both larger 7.62 and smaller 5.56 calibers ought to function with the same system in order to simplify maintenance procedures. On this topic, Nolvak explains, We wanted a version with a short gas piston stroke where the gunpowder gases are confined to this area, meaning that the gunpowder gases do not enter the bolt frame. Christopher Bartocci of Small Arms Solutions, when showing off the LMT Estonia external piston DMR in 7.62, explained that this was one of the more unique aspects of the Estonia contract, requiring an external piston and not internal for health reasons. He explains that the claim was that the internal piston puts more gas into the shooter's face, and this was the reason for Estonia's requirements for an external piston. The ERR article notes that some users have criticized the accuracy of the 7.62 weapons. However, it was noted that criticism had not been confirmed by the military. In doing our research for this video, we came across a video by the channel Silencer Analytics, which explained that LMT's 16-inch rifle is actually known for being, quote, dramatically over-gassed from the factory, even when unsuppressed. It said that once a suppressor is added, the problem becomes severe. And so it looks like LMT's rifles have some well-known issues, and it looks like this even extends to the 5.56 used by Estonia. In fact, one Estonian conscript taking to Reddit had this to say about the LMT weapons. We had loads of issues with our R20S, shorter barrel version of the normal 5.56 variant for more urban combat specialized units, to the point that we were replacing broken rifles with just less broken rifles. The one time I got to shoot a live mag on full auto in the range, I had to unjam it after every single burst, despite taking very good care of my rifle. The individual goes on to say that the big issue at play is LMT's quality control, with each rifle feeling different and offering an inconsistent experience. As we discussed in our very first video over on Tasman Defence Review, Estonia isn't alone in experiencing issues with LMT service rifles. Indeed, the New Zealand Herald reported on issues with the all-important firing pin, and that other issues cropped up too, as about 130 rifles showed cracks around the mechanism which houses the bolt. NZDF confirmed the reports and said identified issues were the firing pins, trigger mechanisms, and cracked bolt carriers, adding, during introduction into service training, a number of firing pins suffered breakages, and to ensure all rifles are now at the highest standard, LMT has replaced all firing pins under warranty. The NZDF statement then added that root cause testing found some variations in the hardness of the metal firing pins, and a new inspection procedure was developed and tested which gave the NZDF a higher assurance that the pins were heat-treated evenly. And so, while we've seen many positive comments from both Estonians and Kiwis about their LMT rifles, it looks like there have indeed been production issues impacting rifle performance. Doing our best to end on a positive note, we hope that all of these issues will help to inform LMT on how to better mass-produce more consistent weapons in the future. But, well, we'll really just have to wait and see. What are your thoughts on these issues? Do you think it's enough to discourage other militaries from considering LMT for their procurements? Let us know by leaving a comment.